You get plenty of money.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Hey, good afternoon, social media. How you guys doing? You got Apostle Dr. Glenn here. I have a very special guest on with me this evening. A good friend of mine, Apostle Randy Graddic himself. He's joining us tonight to talk about Missions 365. Part of the Great Commission is to go therefore into all the world, make disciples, and teach and train and baptize in the name of the Father and Son and the Holy Spirit. So this entire initiative is something that God placed upon my heart a few weeks back, and I asked Apostle Graddic if he would join me to discuss Mission 365. But before we get started, I'm going to ask Apostle Graddic to introduce himself to our audience. Sir?
Hey, Apostle Glenn, so glad to be here today. I'm so honored that you guys would have me on, first of all, and secondly, I honor you as a great innovator. And I mean that, a great innovator. I was saying earlier today, one of my friends, I don't think you know him yet, but you're going to meet him. His name is Apostle Larry James, and he's the director of WKAZ. And years ago, when I'm kind of going backwards, when Apostle Tia, Augustine Tia from West Africa, Monrovia was here, he was introducing Apostle Tia to the realm of the internet. And here we are today, in a situation where we can't do anything but get online, but use technology, to transfer ourselves, from different places in the twinkle of an eye, as God would say. So I'm so honored to be here. I'm representing Sunrise Global Ministries, but my ministry is Mercy Center Global Ministries. We have an outreach ministry here in Cleveland, Ohio. It's located in Shaker Heights. And we do counseling, outreach ministry conferences, and missions. And missions is my heart. Missions have been my heart ever since we developed our ministry. Missions has always been something that I've been interested in. I have heard stories and stories and stories, and I'll just use this old rhyme. It's nothing like being there to talk about it, rather than hearing somebody tell you about it, because it's totally different hearing somebody talk as opposed to actually being there yourself and experiencing it. And it has been something genuine in my life. I think I would even say it changed my life when I went over to West Africa. So I'm really excited to talk about it. Kind of even want to share some mythical stuff that people talk about that they don't know about. They're just talking about it because they heard somebody else say it and it sounded good.
But that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this. A good part of it is the fact that people think that missions, or when they think about missions, they think about overseeing stuff. And missions, according to the Great Commission, it starts in Jerusalem or your home first.
Mm-hmm.
Then you expand out from there to Mary, and then you go to the uttermost parts of the world.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, a lot of churches want to go straight to the other parts of the world and forget about the things that are happening right there in their backyard. And and I want to stress to our viewers that when we speak about missions, we're saying worldwide, starting home, because sometimes the biggest mission field we have is right in our own backyard.
Yeah.
And before we delve too far into that, let's just jump into our conversation for tonight. And we kind of alluded to it already. We started talking about what missions meant to you. But if you will, sir, can you tell us with a little more detail, what does mission really mean to you? When was your first trip to Africa and the impact on your life?
Okay. So that's a little broad, but I'll try to answer. I think it was around 2000 and 2008, and I was at a friend's house, kind of going back. I was at a friend's house. I think we had left our old ministry, and um, we were looking. We were really looking, and we weren't looking for somebody to cover us because we had, in our leaving, we hadn't anticipated all that happened. And I won't go into the story of what happened, but it was a good thing. And looking back on it, it was the right thing. It was God's perfect timing, and we moved when He told us to move. Unfortunately, I think we moved. I know we moved actually later than when He told us to move because we were thinking to ourselves, how's that possible? I just asked you, I wanted to increase my spiritual growth, but I didn't know you were going to just like, remove me to a whole new realm and take me out. But it was really scary, and it was really good. Now that I look back on it, I know that it was God, and I know that the move was God's move and not my move. So on my friend's house, I happened to meet Apostle Hamilton. We were just talking on the couch, and I came in, and anybody that knows Apostle Hamilton knows you have a conversation with her. She's going to be delving into something. And I really thought I knew her. I think we had met her one time before, but just to have a sofa conversation with her led to, what are you pursuing? I see God moving you into a different this or that. And I was sitting there on the couch, and I was saying, wow, every now and then you have a prophetic conversation with somebody. And every now and then you just have a conversation that sounds prophetic. Her conversation confirmed my heart. My heart was to go overseas, and I think when I wanted to go overseas, and I wanted to experience missions in and of itself. I didn't just want to go overseas and just have a vacation. Gotcha. So I was like, okay, well, she's talking about missions. She's talking about donating stuff to people, and she's talking about educating and starting businesses. And I said, wow, that's all the things I want to do. That's all the things I want to experience. So as we talked, I think she was having a trip on the same year that I met her. I don't think I went with her that year, but I think it was in February of 2008 that I went with her, and she took a few people with her on that trip. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, when we went, going through the airport and taking what she had done was, in the process, we had sort of a training camp. I call it boot camp. It was kind of fast in a way, and in a way it wasn't, because she would always say, well, this is what I want you guys to do. I don't want you to do this. You've never been overseas before. And I'd been out the country before, but never like overseas and out the country. So my experience was a good experience, and it was scary until I got to Africa.
Gotcha.
So when we got to Liberia, all of my fears and all of my anxiety left me when I got off the plane. I came down the stairs. They let you out way, way away from the airport. And I came down the stairs, and the first thing that the gentleman said to me was, "Welcome home." When he said, "Welcome home," I was like, wow. I mean, it just kind of blew me away. I mean, I don't know how to even really explain it, but I wanted to have, I didn't know what kind of experience I was going to have. But when he said, "Welcome home, my son," I was like, oh man, this is awesome. And so we went, and as we was coming across the airport, going into the airport, of course, we had some people that Apostle Hamilton had people on the ground, which was a good thing, because a lot of the people that were coming out into the airport, they were being detained. So we were able to get into the airport, get our luggage and everything onto the truck, and then we were headed to our destination. Halfway through, the airport. Apostle Tia's people met us there. And, again, it was, welcome home, my brother. So glad to meet you. And I never met these men. Apostle Hamilton had told them about me, but I'd never met them. And it was as if I was meeting them for the first time. But it was like, what do you mean? I know you. I met you, and I was like, how can they just, embrace me and greet me and have me like, on a cloud going through the airport? And it was just a real heavenly experience. I'll put it that way. So we had brought bags with us to donate to the people. And I think we had about 8 or 9 bags that we bought with us of clothes, shoes, educational equipment, paper, just simple things. And I was saying to myself, I had really known about what we were doing, but just to get there and see how people live, it was just astonishing to me when we got to our place that we were going to reside. And then on the next day, when we woke up to meet the people, we went into the village and we went into the marketplace. And I was just astonished because I said, how can people be so kind and so gracious? And when I said this was like immediately after they'd been in their war. So everything was tore up. They had dirt roads. We were eating dust when we went down the road.
Literally eating dust.
There's no, everything that Apostle Hamilton had said, well, don't be looking for comfort features, when you come, it's not going to be air conditioning, you may be sleeping on the ground and all of that. And I was like, all that, I dismissed it, but I heard it. So when we got there, like I said, it's just to see the people there. And I mentioned to a friend of mine, it's kind of funny now that I think about it, but he said, I said, wow. I said, man, did you see that? We riding in the back of the van. And so we were facing towards the street because the van that we were in is just like picturesque picture of people in Africa. Where everybody's in the seat, your luggage is piled on top of each other. Your hands, you're holding on with one hand and your luggage and your friend's head is out the other window. And so we looked back and I told my friend, I said, wow, did you see that? And he's like, what? And I was like, it ain't nothing but Black people here, man. Can you imagine? So he's looking at me. And I know he's probably saying to himself, well, who was you expecting to see? So the next day, at that afternoon, I called Lynette. And I told her the same thing. And she said, well, who are you expecting to see? And it just never dawned on me. It was just such an overwhelming feeling of seeing just only your own race of Black people. And they look like you. They don't, none of them talk like you, but they look exactly like you. And just the sheer pleasure of going with them. They were, I want to sound lightly, but they were almost as if I'm going to protect you while you're here in our country, and I'm not going to let anything happen to you. And they just gave me that feeling the whole entire trip. They come in, in the morning and they make sure you had your food, and, they're big rice eaters there. And so am I, which was, really good for me. But they're huge rice eaters. And so on the next day, Pastor T and his people, Pastor Coley and about 5 of the guys came, to pick us up, to take us through to the villages and to his church and everything. So we were sitting there and he was saying, he was just talking this kind of, they say that we talk really, really fast to them, but to me, they talk extremely fast. So you'll be saying something and say, wait, slow. And I said, I'm talking really slow. He said, no. You talk very fast. I said, okay. So slow down time. It was just such a unique and satisfying experience for me. That was my first trip there. I think we stayed 10 days. My second trip over with Apostle Hamilton, again, we had met, she'd introduced me to a friend, which you may know is Pastor Elizabeth. And she was building an orphanage So because I was familiar with the country, not all that familiar right then and there. But going back over, I met her and we started talking about her being donated land for an orphanage. And so with my building experience, she asked me to come to a few of her board meetings. In the process, this took about a year. So in the process, we met Elizabeth and she told me all about her vision of how she wanted to build an orphanage there, how she wanted to have boarding for people that came from out the country so that they could stay on the campus. And she wanted to have housing for her students. It was so unique how she got this property. They gave her like 21 acres of property. And so she had the map all laid out. An architect on her board had laid out the way that it was going to look. So when we got back to Liberia that year, the property that she had was kind of like up on a hill. So when she was going to develop her property, it was going to be down to me like in a valley. So I was like, the kind of rain that they have here, you're going to be getting flooded out. You know, if they build it high, if they build it low, then all the water is going to cascade down, you know, and flood your school out. So they changed the location, they put it up on the hill. But it's so unique the way they did it, Apostle Glenn. When we think about people in other countries, the uniqueness of what African people do is so unique, but it's the same to what we do, but it's what we would probably call very crude. Because when they were clearing the land, you know, we were going to go and do a project in the United States. We go get a bulldozer, we go set the site up, we get a surveyor. They didn't do none of that. Them guys would come out every morning with machetes. And I'm talking about cutting big, huge pine trees, you know, the pineapple trees with a machete. And I'm like, the bulldozer? And where's the tractors that we don't want? Y'all gonna cut this stuff down with your hand? Man, they were clearing that land, Apostle, with machetes. And so they cleared the land, they would burn it at night. They would burn everything that they cleared. So in the morning, there were these guys that Elder Elizabeth had met, and they were Pakistani officers. So she had an agreement with them that they would bring their bulldozers in after that. So all they were doing is moving burnt trees, you know, off of the site, but they were you know, excavating it and leveling it as they go. So I was like, oh, okay, you know, she got some contacts here. But it was so she was telling me how she had purchased and got the property. There was a young man that would go to school, and what he would do is he'd have to cross this river. So crossing the river, a lot of them wouldn't survive crossing the river to get over so that they could get educated. So she was able to get a bridge built for them, and her payment for getting the bridge built for them ended in, you know, her getting the 21 acres of land. Wow, this is just amazing. So her vision came to pass. So now she has her campus there. She's got buildings on it, and you know, they're having school. She's got her dormitories. I think she's working on now. She's over there now working on her boarding. You know, her boarding for people that come from out of town. So the whole experience, though, that was my first 2 years. The second time I went, I was there for like, I think 14 days or 19 days. And we had took, I think, 14 people with us at that point. So I don't want people to get confused and just say, oh yeah, this is just really a trip where we just went in our pocket and we said, you know what, let's go put a few dollars together and go over to Africa and do something. We raised money to get there. And amazingly, when people hear what you're doing somewhere else, they're more prone to give it to you if they know you and they know your goal, you know, and things that you're trying to accomplish. And so I would tell my friends, you know, that wanted to donate, I say, you know what, 100% of your money is going to this project, not 50%, not 75% is going to admin and advertising. for you to advertise it so that somebody else can see where you're going. So in raising the money, I think in the visual part of seeing what was actually done, it was easier for people to donate the money so that they could actually see the project that we were doing.
And that's the thing right there that a lot of people don't realize. When it comes to doing missions work, there is often budgets associated with it. Hence,
Yes.
Mission 365. If those that have been following me for the last couple of weeks, you know that we have a tithing page just for Mission 365. But we understand that doing all the things that Apostle Graddic just mentioned requires vision.
Yeah.
But vision also requires provision. And God uses whomever He decides to use to bring that provision about. So I would say tonight to those who are listening and those who want to be a part of this, go back to our https://tithely, THITHP, .ly page and look up Sunrise Global. And or you can go to our Facebook page or go to our Sunrise Global Facebook page or my Facebook page, also Greg's Facebook page is tagged in all of these locations because there are a lot of things that we're trying to accomplish. And there's a saying. The saying is, yard by yard, everything is hard. But inch by inch, everything's become a cent. And that's the goal of us working together. As we work together to fulfill this mission mandate upon our organization's life, upon our organization and our lives,
Yeah.
we're going to see magnificent differences. Because again, Apostle Grad's perspective, he left the country, he went to Africa, got connected, and his life has never been the same. Then there's someone else who may be saying, how can I become a part of this organization where I can be connected? You can go to send us an email at sunriseglobal@gmail.com. That's SONRISEGLOBALINC@gmail.com. And someone will respond back to you because when it comes to missions, as we work together as a corporate body, then we're able to make things happen on a much larger scale. I'm going to ask Apostle Greg one more question, and then we'll be done for the evening. Apostle, the question I have for you, sir, is what one thing do you want to leave with those that are watching and are listening tonight?
The one thing that I would want to leave with them is think about doing missions on a grand scale, but think about doing missions on a small scale. Don't get so overwhelmed, with going to Israel. Not that you don't need to go to Israel. I mean, that would be good for you to go for your vision. But think about donating, to your local missions here in the United States, as well as missions overseas. Our emphasis are to help those that can't help themselves, which are small ministries. You may see people over in foreign countries that have 400 and 500 people, but you got to understand those people are walking 4 or 5 miles to come to a service that you're going to be preaching or teaching at, and they're going to be there for a long time listening to you. They don't have a lot of money. The money to get there is going to come from people that are going to donate the money so that you can perform your service in Africa. And the thing that I think we miss sometimes as Americans is we have so much, but when you look back on what other people don't have, you say to yourself, and that's what I said when I got back home my second time. I told my wife, I said, man, a lot of people in America just need to be stripped of everything they have, sent over to Africa to see how people live, and then come back to America and then let them have their stuff back. Because with their stuff, they can't see beyond what they have. There is such a dignity with people in foreign countries. Here's an example. They go to bed at night knowing what their situation is going to be in the morning. They go to bed at night knowing that they're not going to have a front door when they wake up in the morning, because they never had a front door. You can go home, close your door, go in your house, get out of your car, go in the garage, go get you something. They don't have those luxuries. So if you want to donate to real ministries, search out. If you don't want to donate to Sunrise, which I hope you do, search out a ministry with some worth and do some research, before you start sending your money to different ministries that say that they are performing a service, for African countries and African people. That's why I said when I opened, I've heard a lot of people talking, but African people aren't nasty and filthy. They're cleaner than you, and they don't even have the resources to be cleaner than you right here in America. So, don't talk about what you don't know, and, try to research what you've heard and don't repeat it if it ain't true. My brothers and sisters over in Africa, to me, Apostle T, and we've been to Liberia and Zimbabwe and a couple of other places on our way in between. And it's just it's a different experience. I don't know what your mission experience will be, but if you go with your whole heart and a heart for ministry, don't go to an African country trying to Americanize it, because it's not going to work. Go over there and you'll see how much of a blessing they are to you rather than what you thought you were bringing to them, because they already know God. That's really all they have. They don't have the luxury of going, to different places and doing different things and having different benefits like we do. They just don't have it. So appreciate what you have here in the United States, but strip yourself and seek God and say, is this really something that I want to do? And don't do it just to say, oh, I've been to Africa, and I seen the great this or that. Go over there and leave your teaching in America, but take your heart with you to Africa and leave it open. And God will really work on your spirit while you're there. And you'll see there's a difference in worship. They got worship down. We don't. Because all they have is God over there. All they have is God. And they worship him with their whole heart. I'm talking about total lay on the floor, sweat off of you. It's 103 degrees. That ain't bothering them as long as they worshiping God. And after a while, when you're there, when I first went, I used to wipe the sweat off of my face. After I was there for a few times, I was like, well, this don't make no sense. Every time I wipe it off, it's going to come back. But the worship is pure and the love of the people is pure. So I'll just say, seek him with your whole heart before you go, and get you some training, from somebody. Don't go over there insulting the people.
Right.
Take the Western, style of community, talking down to the people. That comes with knowledge and understanding and training. And that's Apostle Hamilton did a great job of doing that with me. And now that's what I do. I train people, to go with us, not just to come with us because you got a lot of money and because you think you got a lot of knowledge. We appreciate the money and we appreciate the knowledge, but forget about your knowledge, when you come over there, because you don't know the people. And the only way you can have a good relationship with people is when you go and you're obedient to those that have rule over you. You'll have a great trip that way. If you don't, it's going to be a lot of chaos, and you don't want that. You want to have a great trip. So,
and that's really what it's about. It's about fulfilling the mandate that God placed upon all of our lives, especially when it comes to the Great Commission. Recognizing, as you said, that there are some individuals that certain countries that have it better than we do as far as the spirituality, and we may have it better than them as far as our materialistic type things. Yeah. But we have to understand that to whom much is given, much is required. Apostle Graddic, thank you, sir, for coming on this evening. As we close this evening, I was going to say, I think we had Apostle Joseph Osborne from South Africa. Tonight we have Apostle Randy Graddic himself. Next week we're going to have Pastor John Strickland, California. So what we're trying to do with Mission 365 is present different perspectives of missions, different points of views, because how it is in my eye can be different than someone else's eye. But more importantly, individuals that are watching and listening to these podcasts and the videos through Zoom and YouTube, get a better understanding of what Mission 365 is really about. Because we want them to know what they're giving into is good ground. And again, you can go to our Tithing page, you can go to our PayPal page, but we just ask that you support us in our endeavors. Thank you all so much for coming on this evening. And Apostle Graddic again, sir. Thank you very much.